There is a huge problem with Detroit Lions quarterback Jared Goff. Jared Goff is entering his 8th season in the NFL, and overall his career has been pretty respectable. Goff started his NFL career with the Rams, and throughout his 5 seasons there had some pretty high moments, throwing for over 4,600 yards twice and even leading his team to a Super Bowl appearance. And after 5 years with the Rams, Goff was traded to Detroit. In his first season with the Lions didn't go amazing, but it was expected as the Lions didn't have much surrounding talent. However, in his second season last year, Goff got things going, ending the season with 4,400 yards and 29 touchdowns to just 7 interceptions. And throughout the second half of the season, Goff was an absolute monster. Through 9 games, Goff completed just under 67% of his passes, threw for nearly 2,400 yards, and had a touchdown to interception ratio of 15-0 for an overall passer rating of 105.9. After hearing and seeing all this, some may be thinking this seems pretty good and may be wondering what's wrong with Goff. Well, there are a fair amount of Goff haters out there, and the biggest thing they all bring up is Goff can't throw the deep ball. So in this video, I'm going to be taking a deep dive into can Jared Goff throw the deep ball and accurately, or are Jared Goff's haters right and he just doesn't have an arm on him and he can't get the ball downfield accurately? First, let's set the stage for what a quarterback with a good, strong, accurate arm looks like. The first player that came to my mind was Josh Allen. I think everyone can agree that Josh Allen has a strong and accurate deep ball. With that said, let's use him as an example. Looking at the 2022 season for Josh Allen, not including the postseason, 14.6 of his pass attempts were 20 or more yards down the field. In other words, 14.6 of Josh Allen's passes were deep balls, and that accounts for 83 times last season that Josh Allen threw the ball deep. Out of those 83 passes, 41% of them were complete for 11 touchdowns, and 5 of them were intercepted. Allen ended the regular season with a 91.5 PFF score for balls thrown 20 or more yards down the field. You can see Allen also had a high score for medium range throws with a rating of 92.7, but struggled with short throws and even more with throws behind the line of scrimmage. Looking at Josh Allen's spread, you can see that he completed 13 of his 43 deep throw attempts to the outside left for 4 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Deep throws between the numbers, he was 14 of 24 for 4 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. And to the deep outside right, he was 14 of 37 for 4 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. Now that we've looked at what everyone believes to be a quarterback that can throw the ball deep and successfully looks like, let's look at Jared Goff last season. Last year, Jared Goff threw the ball 20 or more yards down the field on 9.4 of his pass attempts. This accounted for 55 deep throws from Jared Goff, as 23 of them were complete for a completion rate of 41.8. Now, before I continue, if you remember, Josh Allen's completion rate for throws 20 or more yards down the field last season was 41%, so Jared Goff's completion rate for deep balls was actually slightly higher than Josh Allen's last season. However, Josh Allen had a 41% completion rate with the deep ball on far more attempts, as Jared Goff threw the deep ball 28 less times than Josh Allen. Continuing with Jared Goff, on his 55 deep ball attempts, 5 resulted in touchdowns, 2 were intercepted for a PFF rating of 84.9. And looking at medium range, short range, and throws behind the line of scrimmage, all of his scores were pretty average. Moving on to Jared Goff's spread, for deep balls to the outside left, he completed 9 of 21 for 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Between the numbers, Jared Goff was 10 of 19 for 2 touchdowns and no interceptions, and wasn't as successful to the outside right, as he completed 4 of 15 for 1 touchdown and no interceptions. After looking at just these statistics and comparing Goff to Josh Allen last season, I feel like I could almost confidently say that Goff can throw the deep ball. Sure, Allen threw it 83 times to Goff's 55, but both of their completion rates were pretty much identical at 41%. Also, Allen is known for heaving the ball downfield. That's what he does to Stephon Diggs and mainly Gabe Davis. That's also a part of the Bills' offensive strategy. Jared Goff, on the other hand, isn't known for his deep ball, but that doesn't mean he can't still do it successfully. It's also most likely not a part of Ben Johnson's offensive strategy for Goff to heave a jump ball 20 20 or 30 yards down the field every other play. Additionally, I know the Lions still had DJ Chark, but Jameson Williams was out all last season, and that's the Lions' up-and-coming deep threat, and sadly he will be out the first 6 games of next season. And with Josh Allen in his deep ball, I feel like sometimes he can be really unsuccessful with it. Mainly in the playoff game against Miami, I felt like there was multiple possessions where Josh Allen heaved up a deep ball 3 times and the Bills went 3 and out. And in the postseason last year, Josh Allen threw the ball 20 or more yards down the field on 25.9 of his pass attempts for a 33% completion rate, far less than the regular season. But I'm getting off track. This isn't a critique Josh Allen video. This is about Jared Goff. Next, let's compare Jared Goff to someone else we all know and love, Patrick Mahomes. Last year during the regular season, Patrick Mahomes threw the ball 20 or more yards down the field 63 different times for a completion rate of 44.4%, which was higher than Goff's and Allen's. 3 of those throws resulted in touchdowns and none of them were intercepted for a PFF rating of 93.3. Next, let's look at one more player statistics, my favorite quarterback and all my followers' favorite quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. Fuck the pack. Aaron Rodgers last season threw the ball 20 or more yards down the field 84 times and only 29 of them were complete for a completion rate of 34.5. However, 12 of them were touchdowns, but 6 of them were intercepted for a PFF rating of 82.1. After looking at 4 different player statistics last season for throws 20 or more yards down the field, I feel like you could draw the conclusion just from looking at the statistics alone that Jared Goff can throw the deep ball. But when drawing a conclusion, we all know you can't rely on statistics alone, you have to put it to the eye test. Well, many of you would be surprised to know that Jared Goff actually held the record for the longest pass by air in the NFL for a few years until Baker Mayfield broke it in 2020. On this play, Jared Goff found an open Sammy Watkins for a 67-yard touchdown bomb as he threw the ball 61.8 yards in the air alone. And this was back in 2017. Now Jared Goff's a stronger and better quarterback. I feel like Goff holding the record for the longest pass attempt by air for a few years definitely at least holds some value when trying to argue that he can throw the deep ball. My favorite play to show when I try to argue that Goff can throw the deep ball is the Week 18 pass to Calif Raymond against the Packers. Goff rolls out to his left, throws across his body accurately for a 44-yard gain to Calif Raymond. I've watched this play so many times, but it never ceases to amaze me how Goff made this throw. Throwing accurately downfield is one thing, but throwing across to your body, across field, and still getting it to your man on a dot, it just doesn't get any better than that. This play was only a 44-yard gain. I say only because there definitely are bigger plays, but with the angle, throwing across field, this ball is probably in the air close to 55 or 60 yards. The other thing is we don't have to look at Jared Goff just last season throwing it downfield, but let's rewind and look at 2018 Jared Goff. In 2018, Jared Goff and Brandon Cooks were unstoppable as Jared Goff threw the ball 20 or more yards down the field 11.6% of the time. This accounted for 65 pass attempts in which 44.6 of them were complete for 9 touchdowns and 5 of them were intercepted for a PFF rating of 94.7. To me, these statistics look like someone who can throw a good deep ball. Jared Goff's spread also looked extremely good as well. To the outside left, he was 10 of 20 for 300 yards and a touchdown and no interceptions. Between the numbers, he was 8 of 17 for 2 touchdowns to 3 interceptions, and to the outside right, he was 11 of 28 for 6 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. In the end, I would confidently say that Jared Goff can throw the deep ball. Statistically, compared to other quarterbacks that are known to throw the ball deep, Jared Goff seems very efficient, and he's also made some unbelievable throws in big games. And he didn't just throw the deep ball good last season, but he's also done it in years prior, just like 2018. If you still don't think Jared Goff can throw the ball deep, good, and consistently, I'd love to hear your reason why.